I want to take a little bit of time here to give you a few guidelines as you're writing this essay on technology and the Industrial Revolution, keeping in mind that the theme being that is technology benefiting society? Does it benefit to today? And related to that, is the Industrial Revolution a blessing or a curse? So a couple basic things in the beginning. Remember, explaining the situation. So as you're introducing technology, talking about how it's influenced us today, getting into fairly quickly, as this is only 3 to 4 paragraphs. So it's your thesis. Why is this important? What do you want people to remember? And then thinking about your points, A, B, and C. What are you going to use to support? Being clear, concise, laying out the facts as you're doing that. Facts, which I'll get into in a second. But first, let me step back and talk about some different thesis ideas here. Even though you're persuading, persuasion is argument, and an argument that you're making, or in some cases, the other term for it would be a claim. So an example argumentative thesis, these are some examples from world history. A are, for example, like many buildings, sculptures, paintings across the world were inspired by Michelangelo, helped to shape the world of Western art. Nice argument, doesn't get overly opinionated, and there's several supports for why that is true. Some common mistakes. Just saying that this writing is going to be, this is the subject of my essay, or in this paper I'm going to discuss. Okay, we know what you're discussing. It's obvious, it's intuitive. So that's another point that's a mistake to avoid. Another one is cluttering your thesis again with "I believe," and in this essay I'll argue that you don't need to state I's or U's. In fact, I's or U's should not be in this essay at all. Possible solution: the English Reformation did not take place due to differences in religious doctrine, but rather for political reasons, as Henry VIII desired a divorce from wife Catherine. So you've got an argument that you're making, and you're not saying "I believe," or in this essay I'll argue that. Irrational, oversimplified claims. Instead, saying that the church was completely corrupt. And again, these examples were from World History A. Keep that in mind. The Pope couldn't read, and there were a lot of other problems. A solution would be the Protestant Reformation was caused by corruption within the Catholic Church, clerical ignorance, as well as problems regarding church offices, such as pluralism or lay investiture. Okay, there you go. Then you've got mistake 4. That's common, merely stating a fact. So it led to religious conflict. Well, yeah, okay, we know the Protestant Reformation led to religious conflict. That's merely a fact. So getting a little deeper into this, the deep rift between Catholics and Protestants divided Europe, resulting in a series of wars fought over territory, religious doctrine, and independence. Okay, so now you're kind of going someplace factually, and you're setting up your facts. Technology was bad. Technology is bad. What does that tell you? The Industrial Revolution was a curse. But why was it a curse? Okay, you need to think about the why in your thesis. You need to think about the why. So as you come back to what's good, it's kind of setting up some of the facts for why it was bad, or why it was good, so you're setting this up on a factual basis. Like, for example, Henry IV made the altar sacrifice. You've got an argument there. Technology has inspired, the advancements in technology have benefited society, have moved society forward, has connected society in some way, shape, or form. I would suggest thinking about technology in some sort of a thematic format. What do you want to talk about? Talk about cell phones? You want to talk about computers? You want to talk about the internet? Maybe try to focus in on one thing, because technology is so broad. So again, when you're getting back to this facts, being specific, giving examples, being able to back them up. So for example, when you're talking about the Industrial Revolution, if you want to make the point that while the Industrial Revolution ultimately was a blessing, there were aspects to it that made it got it off to a not a good start, a rough start, so to speak. So you might make the point that women and children were exploited for their labor, and then what information do you have to back that up, using maybe the primary sources as backing it up, using the ideas that they had to work many long hours for low pay, can barely subsist themselves, and then coming back out to your explanation. So again, at least 3 facts are going to be needed, and possibly more. So thinking about finishing it, wrapping it up, rewording your thesis, rewording, and reminding the reader of what your ideas are. And then you don't need to use, again, the obvious, in this paper I will discuss, or in conclusion. We know that's what you're doing. Try to avoid new info, in that concluding paragraph. You're just kind of restating what you've already stated. And then don't forget punctuation. You need more than 1 sentence per paragraph, shooting for 5 or 6 a paragraph. A sentence needs to be has a subject, a predicate. Stuff like this is obvious. And then a basic, spelling. Spell check is your friend. These are important ideas to remember as you're going through this. So just a few things, and then don't forget too that on this particular essay, as you're writing it, for right now, completing a rough draft, and then when you're completely done with that rough draft, turning it into MyAccess so that you can get feedback from the MyTutor, MyEditor, revising on Google Docs, and then turning in a final copy on both Classroom, which we'll get into when I return. This is basically your focus right now. Looking at thinking about these 2 questions thematically.